Okay, so you're staring at that blank page for your statement of purpose, and your mind is just racing, right? I don't have enough research experience, I have 0 publications, what am I even supposed to say? If that's you, you're in the right place. That feeling is so incredibly common, especially for international students who know that getting into a formal research lab can be really different depending on where you are. But listen, that blank page, it's not a disadvantage, it's an opportunity. So let's talk about how to turn it into a powerful argument for your potential.
Let's just get this out of the way right now because it's the most important thing you'll hear. Your application is not dead on arrival just because you don't have a fancy title from a big-name internship. It all, and I mean all, comes down to how you frame what you have done. And that's exactly what we're going to break down, how to do that strategically and, just as important, honestly.
First things first, we need a really crucial mindset shift. We have to talk about what admissions committees are actually looking for. And spoiler alert, it is not just a checklist of your greatest hits. It's something way more fundamental.
So think about it this way. An SOP is not your life story. It's not your resume written out in paragraphs. It is a structured argument. Your one and only job is to convince the person reading it that you are ready for the challenge of graduate-level work. You're basically a lawyer making a case for your future, and your past experiences are your evidence.
This right here, this is so important. You see, there's this huge misconception about what matters. You're probably stressing about not having the perfect resume, but what the committee is really scanning for is your potential. They're looking for someone who's teachable, who's curious, who's resilient. They want a future researcher who can handle when things go wrong, learn from it, and add something unique to their program.
Okay, so if they want potential, how in the world do you prove you have it? Well, that brings us to the really practical part. Finding and reframing all those valuable experiences you already have but are probably overlooking right now.
The whole process kicks off with a simple inventory. Just brainstorm everything. Class projects, your final year thesis, that online course you took. Don't judge, just list. Then you're going to go through that list and pull out the parts that show research skills. But the really critical part is step 3, reframing it all using the STAR method. That's situation, task, action, and result. This little formula shifts the focus from just what you did to the context, what you specifically did, and most importantly, what you learned from it. And this is where the magic happens. Just look at these transformations. We're going from something kind of passive to something that sounds active and technically impressive. You're not just saying you built a database. No, you're explaining the complex problems you had to solve to make it work. This is how you prove you have a research mindset, even if you've never had a formal research job. And remember, the word experience is way broader than you think. Taking it upon yourself to do a course on Coursera or contributing to a project on GitHub, that's a total power move. It shows initiative. Tutoring? That proves you can communicate complex ideas. Hackathons show you can collaborate under pressure. All of these are legit, compelling pieces of evidence for your SOP. Okay, so you've gathered all this awesome evidence. Now what? How do you actually structure it into a compelling story? Well, it all starts with the hook, that very first paragraph that sets the tone for your entire application. Let me be really direct here. Please, please avoid the "since I was a child" opening. It's a cliché, it's generic, and it doesn't show any academic maturity. Instead, you want to lead with an intellectual hook, a specific problem, a question, a concept that genuinely fascinates you. This immediately tells the reader you're a serious thinker who's already engaging with the big ideas in your field. Your SOP needs to tell a story that makes sense. It has to connect the dots for the reader between your past experiences, those class projects, the self-study, and your current goals. Don't just give them a list of things you did. You have to show them how each step logically led you to their specific program at this exact moment in your life. Now, this brings us to one of the most critical parts of the whole SOP, proving you're a good fit for the program. And the rule here is so simple. Do your homework. Specificity will beat flattery every single time. This right here is what the serious applicants do. Don't just name-drop professors you found on the website. Go deeper, read their latest papers, figure out what questions they're trying to answer. This is what allows you to draw a genuine, informed connection between your background and what they're doing. It proves you didn't just apply randomly, you chose them for a very specific reason. And here is some actual language you can adapt. See how specific it is? You're not just saying, "I'm interested," you're explaining why you're interested and how your skills are actually relevant. This is what demonstrating true program fit looks like. All right, Let's do a quick fire round of the biggest mistakes that can completely undermine a great application. Think of these as the absolute kisses of death for your SOP.
Look, admissions committees can spot a copy and paste job from a mile away. Vague praise about the university's ranking is totally meaningless. It just tells them you didn't do the research we just talked about.
Remember, they already have your resume. They've read it. The SOP is not the place to just relist those bullet points. It's your one chance to provide the story, the why and the how behind everything. Use this space to give your journey some context.
This one might seem kind of minor, but trust me, it's a huge deal. Following instructions is basically your first test as a potential grad student. Ignoring a word limit just screams that you can't be concise or follow directions, and that's a major red flag.
And finally, the most serious mistake of all, never, ever, ever copy from a template or another person's SOP. They use software to check for this. Your story, your voice, and your journey are your single greatest assets. Authenticity is everything.
So let's end this with one final crucial shift in how you think about this. You are not writing an apology for what you haven't done. You are framing your limitations and the gaps in your knowledge as the very reason, the very motivation for wanting this training. That shows maturity, self-awareness, and a really clear sense of purpose.
At the end of the day, graduate programs aren't looking for a finished product. I mean, if you were, you wouldn't need to go to grad school. They are looking for people who have the raw material, the curiosity, the resilience, the potential to become great researchers. And your job in this one document is to show them that you are ready for that transformation.